Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm DIY Danny, your friendly neighborhood DIYer, and I'd like to introduce you to a new addition to my family. This is Carl the Monstera. Yes, lots of changes happening around here, especially my hair. I have officially now migrated back to toque season because the roots are real. I have been very excited to share this project with you. You guys all know my friend Alexandra Gater. Alexandra and I have been talking about this idea probably since the beginning of isolation, and it wasn't until now we kind of felt comfortable to like act on it and be around each other safely. So Alexandra really wanted a magazine rack in her home. So when she saw me do my DIY floating shelves in my bedroom, she's like,
"You need to make me these shelves and I want them in my home."
And then I was thinking, well, I think we could do something way cooler. And she's like,
"I'm listening."
And I'm like, let me think about it. So I did for 2 months. Then one day I got hit with a stroke of genius, and it was like lightning, like pew, pew, pew. I know the solution. Got on the phone and texted Gator. This is what we're doing. She's like,
"That's brilliant."
and I'm like, yeah, it is. Not only is this idea really easy to make, really easy to build, it is also renter friendly, and it's gorgeous. Magazine, googly eyes, heart emojis, gorgeous. One could say that it's just DIY magical. But before I reveal this big magical DIY idea, I would like to take a second to thank the sponsor of this episode, Native Deodorant. This brand was recommended to me by so many people, Alexandra included, and I was like, what is the deal with this brand? I know it might feel weird for me to talk about deodorant, but it's not. If you DIY as much as I do, all of that creative activity can create, well, perspiration. Or if you're just like me, basically waterfalls. I will tell you all about Native and my wonderful perspiration problems you all are so desperately dying to know about a little later on. But until that time, let's get into this episode and roll the tape. Boop. If you're watching and you don't know who Alexandra Gater is, she is one of my best friends in life, but she is also another online creator and home decor expert on YouTube. No pressure, Danny. There is a small nook in her home, and Alexandra really wanted to create like a DIY magazine rack built into that space. That is when I came up with a DIY arched magazine rack that is completely mobile, because I know how much she likes to redecorate her space. Well, maybe not after COVID, because she's redecorated it so much she's probably never gonna want to redecorate her space again, but that's not the point. I know how much her space changes, so I didn't want to add anything that was permanent. Keeping it mobile, everyone. Smart. So this idea got inspired by an IKEA hack by IKEA. That sounds so confusing. I was on the Swedish IKEA platform online, and they actually have a blog that shares IKEA hacks made by designers for IKEA. This one designer used a stone countertop, and then they took one of those floating IKEA shelves and put them on the board to make it completely renter friendly. I was like, that's brilliant. But I didn't want to use the IKEA shelves. Instead, I'm gonna make them my own because it's so easy, and I'm gonna show you guys just how easy it is. Let's go DIY. For this project, I was sourcing a 1/2-inch Aspen plywood, 4 1x3x6, and 4 1/4-inch by 1.5 by 4 hobby boards. This is the goal here. I need to cut this part out of the board, and to make sure that I'm going to do it accurately, I need to measure to the middle of my board and then measure that same distance down from that point, and then I'm gonna put in a pin. And this. That pin was a way of basically creating a DIY compass that's going to help me create that arch at the top of my board. Then of course, all that's left is to cut it out with Mr. Jigsaw. We have an arch! Love it! All these edges need to get cleaned up with sandpaper. Does anybody ever listen to music while they're DIYing, and then some like really badass song comes on, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'm gonna sand this board, I'm gonna feel confident about it. I'm listening to Rihanna right now, and I'm just like, yeah, Riri, you're gonna get that money. Gonna go back to listening to Rihanna and sand this board.
Let me tell you how I waited all week for you to take it off and lay it on me. I see, you'll see, you'll see.
My sweating, but not smelly. You want to know why? Now I just want to take an opportunity to tell you about the sponsor of this video, Native. So this is kind of like a weird thing to say, but I am really picky about deodorants. I've always been a really sweaty person naturally. TMI? I don't know. Maybe? Who knows? Well, now you know. So I guess over time I've kind of built up a sensitivity to it, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this. But because of that, I've always been really picky about the deodorants that I use. It is literally my worst fear to be out in public and then the person beside you goes, and then your eyes go bulgy, then you're like shifting and you go, is it me? Am I the one that smells? Is that why they're sniffing? Next thing you know, you find yourself finding an excuse to be like, look at that over there. So you can catch a whiff because you're trying to figure out if you're the one that's sweaty or not. It's like literally the story of my life. So for me, using a deodorant that you can depend on to make sure that you're always smelling good is very, very important. So I've been using Native for the last few weeks, and I gotta say, the reviews are real. This deodorant is like the holy grail of all deodorants. Like, I'm still waiting for someone to just pop out of the corner and say,
you have chosen wisely.
even after a full day of DIYing and in the heat that we've had, I still smell like eucalyptus and mint. Like, how? While I've never actually been a person who cares about using a natural deodorant or for something else, I do genuinely feel good knowing that I'm putting something on my body that's aluminum free, paraben free, sulfate free. Even just reading what's in the ingredients, I feel like I know what I'm putting on my body. Native has a wide range of choices. I've personally tried cucumber and mint, lavender and rose, and eucalyptus and mint. But I think my favorite might be eucalyptus and mint. It just smells so good. It's like eucalyptus in the shower, but now it's on your body. And beyond all that, it's cruelty free. And I think that should be important. A package of 3 deodorants is normally $36, but if you use the link and code on the screen, you will get all 3 for $24, and that's 33% off. Sweet. May we all carry on with our arms up, smelling fresh. Okay, so most of the body is in fact sanded now. I do need to do like more of the top with a really fine grit sandpaper just to make it nice and smooth. But before I do that, I'm going to use wood fill, and I'm gonna fill in all of the little small imperfections that you can see on the top where I did some of the cuts. Little areas like here and here. We're going for perfection, but it's okay if there's imperfections because it's just a DIY, folks. We're gonna try our best. So let's use some wood fill. Just gotta sand those away.
Your dreams came true. Tell me what you wanna be. You wanna be.
I don't always strive for perfection, but this needed to be perfect. Looks good though. I am gonna put a finish on top of it, but before I did that, I wanted to just kind of figure out what my measurements were gonna be, because once I put the finish on top, I won't be able to touch it. I have some scrap boards that I'm kind of using as stand-in magazine racks. A lot of times I'll walk into a DIY project with a general idea of spacing, like I'll do the math, I'll figure it out, but I normally like to actually see it in front of me before I start drilling anything in. It's a visual thing, it's just how my brain works. So bringing in a real magazine did help me visualize, but I also needed to account for the fact that this shelf could be used for coffee table books or design books down the line. So I needed to make sure that my measurements were going to reflect spacing that could suit many different types of books. Gotta keep it versatile, you know what I mean? I ended up going with 15 inches from the bottom of the first shelf to the top of the second shelf. This allowed enough room for all kinds of different books, and it also meant that I only needed to create 4 shelves. Okay, we have a plan. Woohoo! So it looks like that storm that I didn't think was coming is now coming, and my board's officially out here dry. Whoops. Woo! The rain started. At least I saved my board, yay! Okay, so the next thing I'm using, this is a 1/4 inch hobby board. It's very thin. This is a 4-foot board, and I'm going to be cutting these up to the size that I need, and then this piece is gonna act as the front lip to my little shelf. These shelves are a little different from the ones that I hung on my wall. If you haven't seen that video, I will link it above, but they are the easiest thing to make, I promise you. Once your 1x3 and 1/4 inch hobby board is cut to the appropriate length, for me that was 30 inches, all I had to do was add wood glue on the edge, attach my 1/4 inch board, and brad nail it together using a 1-inch brad nail. If you don't have a brad nailer, of course you can simply just use a hammer and nails or wood screws. Just make sure you pre-drill first so you don't split your wood. I love using a brad nailer because the nails are very small and it's really easy to hide the holes later on with wood fill. Once that wood fill is dry, you just take a sandpaper and smooth away any imperfections and excess wood fill that's there. So Alexandra and I talked and we decided it would be really nice to leave the back piece natural wood, but then have that contrasting color on the magazine racks. So we got talking about colors, and then she's like,
I got this pink color that I'm just obsessed with, and it's everywhere in my home.
and I'm like, okay, well, can I get it from you? And then she's like,
Yes.
so I got it from her. So this is the color that I'm gonna paint with. It's like a really blush tone. Apparently this is like a special mix of color that Gater had specially mixed. So I don't know what it is, but hopefully she's talked about it. Let's see what it looks like. Ooh, it is quite nice. Not gonna lie. Whew, I love this blush tone. It's so soft, it's so subtle, and it's very Alexandra at the end of the day. It wasn't too bright that it popped against the natural wood, but it was just enough pink that it just complemented against that natural wood tone just beautifully. Ah, love it. And of course it was time to let those shelves dry. Woo! That was one heck of a DIY day. I started this maybe around 1 o'clock and it's now about 5:30, and I've covered a lot of ground. I am gonna let this dry. I'm going to start again tomorrow, get this finished, and then we'll get it to Gater. So it's gonna be great. See you all tomorrow. Boop. Good morning. It's very early. I, didn't try very hard this morning. We're going for a shaggy chic today. If you go into a DIY not wearing sweatpants, you're trying too hard. Let's get DIYing. Many decisions happened last night. Although I enjoy the bear claws happening at the bottom, I just think that this is a little intense. This side though is a little bit lighter. There's a little bit less of the knots, but it's like kind of nice. So I filled in a little spot. I'm gonna sand the edges a little bit, and then I think we're gonna go with this side and just go au natural, like my look today.
Yeah.
Your dreams came true. Tell me what you wanna be. You wanna be.
So it was the final DIY day, and the goal was to get those beautiful pink shelves attached to my board. This is always much easier to do when you have a friend, so I had my partner Jeffrey with me helping to film and to give an extra hand. I'm sorry, Pop-Up, yes, you're a good DIY assistant too, but your paws do not help me. You can't help flip boards. First up on the docket was to measure where each shelf was going to be attached and marking the top, bottom, and sides. Using a 1/8 inch drill bit, I'm drilling 3 holes through the middle of each marked section to act as my screw guide. Adding wood glue and clamping the shelf in place, I flipped the board over, pre-drilled using my already pre-drilled holes as my guide into my shelf, then secured the shelf using a 1.5 inch wood screw. Then simply repeat this step for the remaining shelves. The last step was to provide my board with a spine, for lack of better words. Over time, it's natural that through different weather conditions and temperatures, wood can begin to warp. To reduce my board from doing this, I secured a 1x3 board down the middle of the board to give it a support spine that could also help stabilize it when it was leaning against the wall. You can also add 2 on the back, but 1 seemed enough for this size. Magazine, DIY magazine rack. I just need to shower, put it in my car, and then go surprise Gater. I haven't even got up the stairs and I'm already hurting. It's gonna be okay. Just getting my work in today. It's all good. To all the people that I do future installs for, I have a prerequisite that you have to have elevators. That's it. Reporting live from Danny Berger's camera with little Lots. We're sitting outside while Danny installs the new shelf. I have no idea what it's gonna look like. And I'm really excited because usually I'm the one that is surprising other people. I'm not usually the one who's actually surprised. So this is very exciting. Lottie, are you ready? Lottie's having a hard time because of the birds. She's like, there's birds out here. Lottie, we have to stay and be surprised. Oh God, oh God. Are you ready?
I feel nervous.
Yeah, me too.
I was thinking with vlog camp how usually I'm the one surprising people, so this is really fun. Let me just get my cap. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Okay, are you ready?
Okay.
Wait, okay, go.
Should I count to 3? I'm gonna count to 3.
Count if you
Can I
want.
count myself down?
Sure, 3, 2, 1.
Oh my God,
Isn't it so pretty? Isn't it beautiful?
Danny, I'm speechless.
You have to keep your distance. We're supposed to social distance, so we'll have to social
I was
distance.
just gonna hug you. Danny Berger, this is amazing.
So pretty, isn't it?
So much. I had no idea what to expect. Oh my God, I'm obsessed. My heart is pounding. God! Danny! Hey, seriously, this is amazing.
Yay!
I love the raw wood. That was such a good call. Oh my goodness. It actually makes the living room feel like
Warmer?
so much bigger.
Well, I think she officially liked it. Maybe not how I styled it, but I know she definitely liked it. We are going to style it now that I have a home decor expert at bay here. We're gonna style it with magazines.
Freaking out. It just looks incredible.
And then I'm gonna show you all the beauties. Woo! Here it is, everyone, an Alexandra styled and Danny created DIY art magazine rack that just looks so rad in this space. I love how it fit that little nook so perfectly, and the raw wood added such a warm, complimentary element to her space that played tribute to everything else because of those beautiful matching pink shelves. It's funny, once we saw it in this space, we also thought how awesome it would be to add a light to the top of the arch. I think it would be so cool, so stay tuned for that because that's probably an addition that's soon to come. But all in all, I think we have a happy friend who finally has a place to style all her favorite magazines. Thank you all so much for watching and for supporting this awesome, cool DIY project. And thank you to the sponsor of this episode, Native. Don't forget to use my code to receive 33% off your box set and let me know which was your favorite scent. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Your dreams came true. Tell me what you wanna be. You wanna be.